You've called your job a rat race. You've called a coward a rat. We use this animal as an insult without even thinking about it. But have you ever asked why? Rat race comes from a lab experiment. Scientists used to run rats through mazes, over and over, chasing a piece of food they'd never quite reach before being sent back to run it again. No matter how fast they ran, there was no finish line, just another lap. Someone looked at that image, an exhausted animal sprinting nowhere, and saw us, saw the way we chase promotions, deadlines, paychecks, running hard, going nowhere, never reaching the food at the end of the maze. We turned their exhaustion into our own metaphor. And we did it because deep down, we already sensed the truth this video is about to prove. We are not as different from this animal as we like to believe. So here's the real question nobody asks. Out of nearly 9 million species on this planet, why is it always the rat? Why not a dog? Why not a monkey? Why not any of the animals we actually claim to love? Here's how it actually started. In 1906, at the Wistar Institute in Philadelphia, scientists began breeding albino rats, specifically for laboratory study. Generation after generation, until they became the first standardized lab animal, built purely for science. Then, in 1937, a company released a children's medicine called elixir sulfanilamide, without testing it on animals first. Over 100 people died, many of them children, before anyone understood why. That disaster changed the law. From that year forward, a drug had to prove it wouldn't kill an animal before it was ever allowed near a human. The rat became the last line of defense between a new drug and your bloodstream. Because right now, in a laboratory somewhere in the world, a rat is dying so that you don't have to. It's not a soldier. It's not a martyr. It doesn't even know it's making a sacrifice. But every time you swallow a pill without a second thought, you're trusting a death you never witnessed. A death engineered on purpose over and over in the millions. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you won't be able to open a medicine cabinet the same way again. Every pill in your medicine cabinet was tested on a body that wasn't yours. Every vaccine in your arm was proven on a creature that couldn't say no. Every surgery your doctor performs without hesitation was rehearsed on flesh that wasn't human. Because before anything is allowed to touch you, something else has to break first. Something has to take the wrong dose. Something has to feel the tumor grow. Something has to convulse, bleed, stop breathing. So the label can say, safe. Out of nearly 9 million species on this planet, science keeps dragging the same one back into the light. Not because it's convenient, not because it's cheap, but because it might be the closest stand-in for a human being that biology has ever created. For most of human history, rats meant one thing: death. They swarmed grain stores, rode ships into new continents, carried the plague that erased a third of Europe. We poisoned them by the millions. Then, science turned that same animal around and looked closer. Not a pest, not vermin, a reflection. Peel back the fur, the tail, the twitching whiskers, and the machinery underneath is almost identical to yours. Its brain drowns in the same dopamine when it wins, and the same cortisol when it's afraid. Its neurons rewire the same way yours do when you learn something new. 95% of its genetic code has a matching page in your own, which means the disease eating away at a rat's body is very often rehearsing what's coming for yours. Cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, addiction, even fear itself. They weren't experimenting on some distant creature. They were experimenting on a smaller, faster-aging copy of the human race. But there was a second reason, one that should terrify you more. You don't have enough time to catch your own mistakes. A rat's entire life, birth to death, fits inside 12 months. Every hidden side effect, every slow poison, every mistake that would take a human lifetime to expose, exposed in months, not decades. And humans are impossible to predict. Different diets, different genes, different histories. So scientists built something humans could never be: a controlled population. Same genes, same food, same cage, same fate. When something goes wrong in a population like that, there's nowhere for the truth to hide. Every drug ever created has two faces. One heals, the other kills. And no one knows which face they're looking at until someone finds out the hard way. Someone has to swallow the dose that goes wrong. Someone has to grow the tumor no one warned them about. Someone has to become the evidence. For over 100 years, that someone has almost always been a rat. Millions of them. bred to die so the math would work out in your favor. Somewhere right now in a lab you will never see, a rat is being given a dose no human has ever survived. Its body is writing in real time the warning label on a bottle that hasn't been invented yet. A bottle that one day might have your name on the prescription. You didn't choose that trade. Nobody asked you. But it was made anyway, millions of times, so that when your moment finally comes, you get to walk away. And it doesn't. So the next time you call someone a rat, remember what that word actually paid for. If this made you look at your medicine cabinet differently, hit like so more people see the truth behind the pill. Subscribe, because this is only the beginning. There are more hidden trades like this one waiting to be exposed. And share this with someone who's never once asked, why rats? See you in the next one.